Hi everybody, this is Mr. Beal, and this is the parent informational video for anyone who has a son or daughter that is interested in doing this year's musical, Willy Wonka. First of all, we are so excited to get back into our musical program this year. We have a lot of interested students, and it's going to be an awesome year. But of course, there's a lot of information that you, as the parents, need to be aware of before we get things rolling here. So the first thing I want to do is just introduce myself. My name is Dan Beal. I am the vocal director and the producer. So I teach all the songs, work with all the singers, and help the music side of things. And I'm also the behind-the-scenes person, the person that handles all emails, attendance, payments, tickets, all the different things like that that happens to make the show the function. We also have our director, Miss Katie Gornick, who is well known in the area for putting on excellent productions and has a long history of working with lots of students in this region, and we are thrilled to have her back in our third year as our director, and we have had wonderful success with Miss Katie so far. We also have Miss Danielle Fairweather. She is our choreographer, and her and Katie are very much a team. They run a program called Ghostlight Theater in the summer programs and put on some wonderful productions this summer, including Drowsy Chaperone and All Shook Up. And of course, Mr. Myers, who is our technical director. He is going to be in charge of stage crew this year and all the lights, sound, microphones, and everything that goes into that. So that is our staff. It's a four-way team, and all four of us are really excited to work with the students. So the first thing I want to talk about is audition information. So a lot of important details that go into auditions. By now, by the time you're watching this video, your son or daughter should have already signed up for an audition slot on Monday, October 4th. We have 5-minute audition slots. Currently, it appears to be all full, but obviously we will work something out if you're watching this and they haven't signed up yet. Please note that every student has to audition. What you don't have to worry about is not being in the show. If you audition, you're automatically in the show. It's our job as the directors to decide where you will best fit in the show, where your strengths are going to be on display the best, where you're going to find the most success. So you have to audition so we know what you're comfortable with, what you're capable with, but everybody makes the show. A couple things required at this October 4th audition. Each student will be given an audition form that they have to fill out. It's basic information. You can indicate on this form what part you're interested in, but you're not able to tell us you're trying out for a specific part. It helps us to know what you're interested in, maybe 1, 2, or 3 things you're thinking about, but you can't tell us, I'm only here to try out for one part. The other thing is, on this audition form, you'll be writing down some of your experience, so we know that. You can also tell us what sort of conflicts you might have. Maybe you play a sport, maybe you're a dancer. So we cannot have you audition if this form is not filled out. We look at this audition right before you sing, while you're singing. It all goes into the picture of us evaluating you for our show and figuring the best spot for you. Please note that that is not the only day they need to be there for auditions. Wednesday, October 6th, you also have to be at UNAMI for our dance audition. Everyone in the show dances at some point or another. However, we have a lot of people in the show that have no dance experience whatsoever, and that's absolutely okay. Please don't think that you have to have training of any sort. I certainly didn't when I started doing musicals when I was younger. But we need to see what people are comfortable with, because our choreographer, Miss Danny, she places everybody in the best situation to succeed. And she needs to see what everybody's able to do choreography-wise before we make those decisions as a cast, like before we make decisions on where to cast someone. So everybody must be at UNAMI at 4:45 p.m. on Wednesday, October 6th. That's 4:45 p.m., and that's going to go until 6:30 p.m. Now, backtracking a little bit. After the auditions on Monday, October 4th, we will decide if there's anybody we need to see a little more, and we will give those students a callback. Callbacks are going to take place on Wednesday, October 6th, after the choreography tryouts, the dancing auditions. Please note that not everybody gets a callback, and I want to be very clear that just because you get a callback, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a lead role. And the other thing is that if you don't get a callback, you may have actually gotten a lead role. Maybe we saw enough out of you at your audition that we're already confident in our choice to cast you in a lead role. So try not to read too much into callbacks, whether you get one or not. It doesn't always mean exactly what one might think it is. But I do want to point out, if you get a call, first of all, I would keep Wednesday, October 6th open, because if you get a callback and you can't come, then we can't consider you for whatever role we were thinking of. We'll have to give it to someone that's at callbacks. Callbacks will take place immediately after dance auditions from 6:45 to 9 o'clock. We wrap up dance auditions around 6:30, so there'll be a 15-minute break. Of course, I'll have to bring some food with them, obviously for dinner, and then we'll go from 6:45 to 9 o'clock. So that's all the information about auditions. I just want to point out one more thing. Once we post the cast list, which we haven't decided yet, it might be the evening of October 6th or it might be the morning of October 7th. It's very important that each student knows that they will have to sign a character contract. Essentially, this is each student saying that we are committing to the show. Like, we are going to stick with Willy Wonka from October to March. We will make all the mandatory rehearsals. We will be responsible for everything we miss and never show up on stage not knowing what's going on because maybe you missed a rehearsal or you were ill one day. It's a big commitment, and we need to know that we have a cast that we can depend on so that our show can function. Just like any sports team works, you need all of your athletes, just like we need all of our cast members to work together to make our show great. So there will be a character contract. And what we ask, especially to parents, is that you go over this with them, that they can't sign this contract unless they've talked with you, the parents. Can you make all the mandatory dates? If you're playing a sport, are you aware of the mandatory dates? Do you understand that there's going, and we'll talk about this later in the video, the sports thing, how we balance, how we work with athletes in the show. So anyway, just wanted to mention that there will be a character contract. We like students to take that step to make a commitment to the show. Now, I'd like to now talk about the schedule, and I'm actually going to show you what the schedule looks like so you can start to get an idea what some of the mandatory dates are. So the schedule for Willy Wonka will be posted on the Willy Wonka Canvas page. So I'll be sharing information on how students should sign up to access that page, as well as parents who can enroll as a parent observer, just like your other classes that your child has in school. So you'll note here that on this schedule, all of the yellow dates are mandatory. All students must be at these rehearsals regardless of any other conflicts. Of course, illness is another story, or family emergencies, but in general, we need students to know that they are expected to be there. I'll get into my athletic policy and other extracurriculars later. For now, let's just take a look at some of these rehearsals, okay? So typically we meet on Mondays and Wednesdays from 2:45 to 4:45 p.m. This schedule will be more detailed and include information about what we're doing that day, but that hasn't been inputted yet. You're going to notice in the schedule that occasionally on a Monday or Wednesday, we go later than 4:45 p.m. These are our choreography rehearsals. Our choreographer, Miss Danny, is only able to join us around 4:45 on Mondays or Wednesdays when she comes. So we have to have it a little later in the evening. And of course, it's incredibly important that we learn our choreography well and that we dedicate the right amount of time to it. So it'll always be on a Monday or a Wednesday. Obviously, you're going to have to look at these in advance because you might have different conflicts on Mondays or Wednesdays. So there's one on a Monday there, and then you'll see that the next one is a Wednesday, November 3rd. So you're going to want to put these on your calendar in advance. And they always go from 4:45 to 6:30 p.m. Now, moving on, I want to point out that being involved in the musical means that you will also attend several Saturday rehearsals. Now, we know that this can be a little tricky for people if they haven't done something like this before, but I have to tell you that these Saturday rehearsals are some of the most important rehearsals we have. We do make some small exceptions, like if someone has to leave early or come late for something, but we never excuse anybody for missing an entire Saturday. So it's very important that you mark these Saturdays on the calendar to not plan any family travel or events, and it's also important for you to check and make sure you don't have an event that you must be at that day, like a dance competition or some sort of sports tournament. If that happens, it is possible that you will not be able to participate in the show. Come discuss that with me, and we can take a close look at it and see. But it's really important that we know about these conflicts in advance, particularly when we're casting a show. Because if we know you're trying to go out for a lead role, but we're going to be missing you for a 6-hour rehearsal, we really have to keep those things in mind if we're stuck between a few students for a certain role. We're looking for students that can be there and committed to the schedule, especially if they want to take on a lead role. So there are 4 Saturday rehearsals before the week of the show. There's January 8th, January 22nd. In February, there's February 5th and February 19th. And then I haven't put this one, oh, there it is, Saturday, March 5th, and that's part of our tech week. So I guess let's segue to that now. Our tech week is essentially the 2 weeks before the show. This is our playoffs, our championship. Like, we need to know that all students should have nothing on their mind for these 2 weeks except Willy Wonka. You'll see that we've expanded rehearsals this week to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Rehearsals go a little longer, till 6 p.m. each day, and this is our final Saturday to really perfect things and clean things up. The Tech Week 2 is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and it's not Friday because the most important dates you need to keep in mind, and this is something you need to know if you want to sign a contract to join the show, you absolutely have to be able to make all of the show dates. If you are unable to attend even one of these, both weekends, because of the snow dates, you're not permitted to be in our production. We can't take students on that are going to potentially miss one of our shows. The dates are March 11th, 12th, and 13th. We have 2 evening shows on Friday and Saturday and 2 matinee shows on Saturday the 12th and Sunday the March 13th. Now, you know what? These dates are wrong. I will be sure to fix them, but that should say March 18th, March 19th, and March 20th. Sorry about that. We actually had a situation where snow snowed out one of our shows a few years ago, and we are absolutely not just going to cancel our show with all the hard work our students put into it. So both weekends, March 11th through 13th and March 18th through 20th, need to be put aside. If you know in advance that that is a conflict, you cannot participate in Willy Wonka. The next detail I want to cover is that in order to participate in Willy Wonka, there is a student activity fee. So each student in the cast has to pay $75. You make that payment through My Payments Plus. Now, where does that money go? Well, $10 of it goes towards the t-shirt that everybody will get. Each cast member receives a Willy Wonka official UNAMI Middle School musical t-shirt. The rest of it goes towards 100 different things. They go towards props, costumes, building the set, building the stage, anything that we need that pops up along the way. It is very much in a way that funds our program. I mean, of course, we have a budget as well, but each year, this is part of how we're able to sustain such a strong program and make sure our kids have the materials that they need. So there'll be more information about that, but that money will be due after the cast list goes up and people give their character contracts. Before I forget, for those of you that might be watching this that aren't interested in being on the stage, you might be wondering about backstage, which is stage crew. Mr. Myers is our stage crew director, and information about that has already been shared out a little bit. That really doesn't start until January usually, and feel free to send me an email, and I'm happy to pass on that student's name to Mr. Myers. And of course, we're really excited about our stage crew this year. Willy Wonka has an amazing set design and going to require a lot of hard work and creativity. So more information about stage crew coming later. And now I just want to make one final note about athletes. So of course, we want our multi-talented students to participate in the musical. Our students who are also athletes, but also love to sing and act. So what I will say is this: it's really important that you know your schedule as an athlete, whether it's a UNAMI sport or an out-of-school sport. You need to know what commitments you have. When are your games usually? When are your practices? And maybe most importantly, is your coach willing to work with us? Our policy typically is this: if you have a sports practice, you split the time between musical and your sports practice. Of course, that implies that you're going to miss something at your sports practice and miss something at us. Our rule is that if you're going to miss something, it is your responsibility to see what you missed. And then the next time we cover that in a rehearsal on stage, we shouldn't even notice that you weren't there. In other words, it's your job to learn from another student what you missed, because we don't reteach. We have way too much to cover if we're going to do our show by March, and we don't get a chance to go back and reteach things. So as long as you can take care of your responsibilities and show us that it's like you didn't miss anything, you should be fine. Games are a little tricky. Obviously, there's going to be games you have to go to. Once again, you have to see what you missed. However, if it's a mandatory rehearsal and it's a choreo night, the only night that we have choreo for that song, you need to figure out a way to get to choreo. More importantly is the Saturday rehearsals. We need to know that you're not going to miss an entire Saturday due to a dance competition or maybe a sports tournament. We can't be dealing with someone saying, I can't make this Saturday and this Saturday because of sports. You need to know these things in advance. I mean, if you have a specific concern, maybe it's not as dramatic as that, please reach out to me so we can talk about it, look at it, and I can fill you with some more details. And of course, the most important thing is the 2 weeks leading up to the show, our 2 tech weeks, and then our 2 weekends of shows. It is crucial that if you are an athlete or a dancer or in some other extracurricular activity, that you know what your conflicts are. And we hate to make students make a choice, but we try to teach them that, you can't always do everything, and that if we keep our standards, just like these sports teams keep their standards, that's how we remain successful, and that's how we put on solid productions, by making sure that our kids are there when they need to be there. So anyway, that covers all of the important information that you need to know as parents. More information will be coming out. I just want to say one last thing: communication. You should already be receiving an email from me. If not, please reach out to me as soon as possible at dabeal@cbsd. That's Beal at CBSD. Also, I do send out text message updates, so make sure you check the email that talks about Remind, and you can sign up for free. It's pretty easy, and you can get text updates, especially when there's last-minute changes like cancellations or different things like that. It's important that maybe if you didn't get to check your email, you at least get a message on your phone telling you. In summary, I have to tell you that myself, Katie, Miss Danny, and Mr. Myers are thrilled, really excited about this year's show. It's going to be quirky, fun, exciting, unexpected, and ultimately our biggest goal is that to develop a love of theater with all of these students and to see them grow throughout this year. Reach out anytime. I would love to hear from you, and I look forward to seeing you in the audience on March 11th. Thank you.